Well, hello, and welcome to a special night of Spindle TV exclusive. We moved to Thursday night, and while I say that, let me apologize to all of my members out there, all of my paid members and everything, for leaving you hanging yesterday. Yesterday, we had a live stream, kind of a promotional stream with Digital Woodcarver at 7:30, and in the week of preparing all for that, I did not really get to. I got so tied into that. And all the ads and the promotions and the emails and this and that. I forgot to send you guys a notification saying, hey, our class is going to get moved over to Thursday because we have a special live stream on Wednesday. And left many of you, all of you, not many of you, all of you hanging. So I apologize for that. And thanks for understanding if you do. But I got tied up at work. I have a day job, right? So I got tied up and it's all my day job, but Digital Woodcarver kind of needed me. I'm the face of the company. I gotta be there when they need me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, what I was saying before we did not go live here a minute ago, tonight we are kind of rounding off our kind of series or segments or just talks about 3D modeling. And what we're rounding it off with, what we're kind of wrapping up with, is we have a member, one of our members, submitted a couple of models with some general questions, and figured that this would be a good group discussion or a class discussion and everything. And Ronnie is on screen with us. Ronnie Ferrier was the one that submitted the models and said that he said, hey, maybe this would make a good class. And I agreed. And so that's what we're talking about. And so, hey, Roger S., thanks for making it, man. And Roger S., happy birthday, bud. Is it today? I think today is your birthday. Or it was yesterday and I missed it. But either way, happy birthday, Roger Smith. And we're not going to sing to you, but, happy birthday, man. So what we're going to be working with, well, man, thanks for coming and hanging out with me on your birthday, dude. Jeez Louise. That's the way to tell the family who's important. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I'm glad I'm that special in your life. Happy birthday, bud. The models we're going to be working with are a set of 1911 pistol grips. And what I've got is I've got a left and a right grip. I've got a set of dimensions and some hand drawings that Ronnie has submitted to me because I asked him, hey, we're going to, be talking about some questions and stuff. And we're going to come to some of the key things that we're going to be answering tonight is I'll read off the email and then you and I'll tell you what we're going to do. So first thing, Ronnie's been wanting to work with these models for, some time. But the first thing he wanted to know is on the screw holes on the models, how we would make those screw holes where they weren't really part of the model. But how we can make them outside of that because they are designed in the model, the screw holes and the recesses and everything. So how can we? So it's not part of the model, and it's not part of the roughing and finishing, and it's just something that we do separate. So that's going to be one of the things that we go over. It also has the model is kind of a two-sided model, each grip, and on the back of the grip there's some pockets, and it's a weight thing. It's just 4 areas material that is removed from the back side of this grip to reduce the weight of it. Especially if you're making grips out of wood or plastic, whatever the case may be. And these are things that are getting added to your firearm for your draw and everything. We want to minimize the weight. So there's 4 pockets on the back of each grip that are pocketed out, and that Ronnie just said, hey, we can just get rid of those, right? We don't need to deal with that. So get rid of those altogether. And then he's given me the dimensions and stuff. So that's kind of what we're looking at. But I'm also we're going to attempt based off of drawings and dimensions. I'm going to show you how to model them from nothing, from scratch, from your own. So let's bring old John up here. We are rounding off. We are getting bigger and fuller and all that stuff. I can fit up to 3 more of you, ladies and gentlemen, 9 with this current stream setup. But up to 9 guests at a time. Get StreamYard link to work. Give me just a second. Stand by 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. Let me see if I can.
I got it finally.
Oh, was that you, the Facebook user that in that, John?
Yeah. I was on Facebook, and because I went to Facebook because I tried typing a link in and it wouldn't accept it. What you might be easier to do is on the members, the community tab, on your thing.
Right.
If you put the link right in there for the like the big time supporters or whatever you want to call them, then they can
gold
just
members.
click on that. It would pop over.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Because this service of coming on screen with me is for gold members only.
Right.
I don't put it out publicly. I only put a post out to you gold members on the community page on YouTube. So it's there. That link, it doesn't go out publicly.
Right. Well, Mark Lindsay does that on the members only community tab on his StreamYard thing. He puts the link, like he puts one for the gold members and one for the other members. And the gold members, the one they click on, puts them on camera with them, but the other one is just for the other people to watch.
I do that too.
Well,
it's on the community page. It says on the community page, it says gold members. Here's your link to join me on stage.
Yeah, see, I went on that and I didn't see it. It just had the 14th. The one I had was the 14th.
Oh, that's actually today, but I forgot to change the date on it. It's today. It's the date. The date in the front was wrong. Sorry, John. That was my screw up. All this, posting links and everything. It was a copy and paste, and I forgot to take the date out. But it was today's. It was today's. Hey, from Citrus, Florida, Keith Kessler. It was good seeing you the other day, Keith, at Lowe's. Man, good seeing you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to everyone, and let's get started on this. And let's take a look at what we are dealing with. And
can I just add a bit of update?
Oh, yeah. Fill me in here, bud.
So I got while I was waiting for this class and to figure out how to remove that. Basically, I needed to change this model altogether. And the original STL file I got from the engineer was nothing like what the customer is requesting. So I was trying to figure out how I could manipulate it, and I got totally bummed out with that. So I went back to the engineer and I said, I need an STL file for precisely what you guys need for this 1911. And when I say 1911, this is one of the frames. So this is what I'm working with. And they do, and I've got kind of a grip here. So the original file had where they were like beveling off some of this down at the bottom.
Yes.
For the magazine, and sort of up here at the top, and then on the back side, flip side, it pocketed out a bunch of that. So the STL file, all this to say, the STL file that I sent you later today has been cleaned up some from the original. So I just wanted to point that out in case you bring it up and you go, hey, where's those 4 pockets at that we were going to remove?
Okay, so because I have the old and the new, so let's.
But having said all that, Laney, I would really like to learn how you take one, that first model, and how I can manipulate it without having to get an engineer involved.
Sure,
if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's great. And what I'm going to do is, let's compare apples to apples here. I'm going to have the new and the old, and we'll just kind of look at, both of them kind of a side-by-side scenario.
Perfect.
All right. So once again, here we go, guys. Let me jump up here in front of everyone for just a moment. Oh man, I still have the digital wood carver green going on. I got to change that one day back again to our gold. Let's see here. I am on channel 2, and then I need to get down in the corner. There we go. And let me fix somewhat. Try to get this. Let's see, what corner is it that doesn't have light? This corner here. See if I can bring that off to kind of blend me in a little bit better. That's good. Okay. All right. So first things first, ladies and gents. Going back to Ronnie's original email, you gave me some rough dimensions, 4.067 by 1.572 by 265. I'm going to basically on the job setup, I'm going to come in here and think of like a board. I'm going to just use like a 1x6, like 5.5, type of thing. And we'll lay the grips out kind of a certain way, Ronnie. But just to, get them on there, what I want to do is I'm just going to kind of, for right now, I'm going to go with a 6x6 because I'm going to have two side by side. So let's just go 6 inches on the, let's pick out the correct keyboard, 6 by 6, and let's go 0.265. I'm going to keep that, let's see, 0.275282. Let's go 3/8, 0.375. We'll mill it down to what we need when we cut out the parts. Okay. So that was wrong. Let's go back in there one more time. Hold that shift. And I want to set this to an extremely high on my settings and everything, extremely high on that model resolution. Now, here's the kicker, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot improve the quality of an existing model. If the model is made in a low resolution and it's just a crappy model, you can't make it any better by turning up your resolution. Okay. So I don't know what these models are, but we're about to find out. So we're going to go into the modeling tab here and we're going to import a component or 3D model. And we're going to go with the original left grip from the other day for right now. And when this comes in, it comes in upside down. So what we are seeing right now are those 4 pockets. We're seeing the bottom side of this model. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get into a Z view up here in the top right corner. And let me turn on my mouse so people can see where my mouse is on the screen. All right, so here's my mouse on the screen. We're going to get ourselves into a top view so that we're looking kind of like, imagine we're looking over the table down on our board. Now the model is currently right now in metric. So it's going to import in metric here. So I'm going to scale metric to inches, millimeters to inches to get us into our size based on what this model was created on. Okay. Now I'm going to hit mute on some of you guys' mics just for now while I'm demonstrating and everything, just so we don't pick up any TV noise and all that stuff. Now I'm going to, once I've scaled the millimeter to inches, it brings me to what this what it was created in inches. I'm going to center this. Now, Ronnie, I don't know where you pulled your numbers from versus their numbers, but your number was 4.067. Their number is 4.2379. Your number was 1.572. Theirs is 1.497. 2.55, yours was 2.65, right? So there's just a little bit of variances, and I don't know if you were just kind of calipering and stuff, or if we need to match what you said versus what they gave you. So that's something I'll have you answer.
Yeah.
Do
Can
we
you
need
answer here? Or do I need to do it in chat?
Yeah, no, you can. No, everybody can hear you answering there.
So to answer that question, after I had following your previous classes, when I
Right.
scaled millimeter to inches, and then I took the calipers and went back to validate those
Right.
X, Y, Z, I had the differences. And so in my mind, I'm like, do I go with what the model was that was sent to me? Or should I start trying to increase this based on the actual finished
Right.
product? So,
Right. So it's the finished product that I would be more reliant on. But if I don't know these engineers, if this was the engineer for 1911, I would kind of go with what he made it, right? But
all right, well, let's go with that.
If it's if it's like, hey, these are our, this is the model we make all of our grips on, blah blah blah, I would go with that. But if it's not, then I would go with what actually you physically have in your hand, and just mic it out as much as possible. Okay, so now I do not want to be seeing the back side of this. I want to see the top side, but this view that we're in, this top view, they created it upside down. So I'm going to turn it to a bottom view. So we're looking at the top side here. And I'm going to make sure I'm centered again. And I'm going to position this. And I'm going to slide the slide bar all the way to the bottom. And I'm going to discard anything below the 0 plane. And there should be, if I look at it from the side view, there should be nothing below the 0 plane. The 0 plane is this black line right here. There should be nothing below the 0 plane. So let's import that in. Now, when it imports in and everything, and let me switch my material for a moment. Hold that thought for 1 second. I want to just go with kind of a clean material for right now. We'll go with that. And let's on this, bear with me just a moment. There we go. I had some previous things in this project. I need to go in and delete. Bear with me just a second. Okay. So when we, hopefully everybody can see that. This is the, grip that we brought in. And if we look at the back side, those pockets are gone. Okay. So we're not dealing with those. We don't have to deal with them. Okay. And that's kind of instantaneous on this. We're going to be cutting this out of the bottom of our material. Now, if we set this up, if we would have set this up as a two-sided job and had it split to where those pockets were on one side and, the rest were in the other, then they would be in there to deal with. But just by bringing them in, it kind of erases them, anything on that bottom side anyway, Ronnie. If you needed them in there, then we would have to set it up as a two-sided job kind of thing. But I believe you're wanting to eliminate those. True or false? True. Okay.
And in the new one, they are eliminated.
Okay, good. So that's just that simple. Upon import, they'll be eliminated. When we bring that model up above, that single-sided job. Okay. So everything on the bottom just gets, taken out. Now, hey, good afternoon or good evening, Kool-Aid. How are you doing? And Bernie Bouchard, welcome. Thanks for joining us in. Now, upon import, just looking here, as Ronnie was describing everything, in the model, we have a bevel here, right? And the bevel basically is kind of like, for the clip release and everything, it just gives you room and clearance, to, grab a clip, and things like that. But most times if you're in a gunfight and all, you're flinging that clip. You're not going to baby it out of the gun and everything like that, unless you're just at a range or something, But that's kind of what that bottom bevel is for. The top bevel, I believe it's going to be kind of a thumb rest area. Not a thumb rest, but I don't know what the top one is for. I don't think it plays any physical role. Okay, that probably, yep. Yeah. I'm not familiar with the 1911, but probably for, a safety and all. Now, Ronnie, from what I'm understanding, your number one, until we're getting to the screw holes in just a minute, but are you wanting to remove this?
Yes. I want to remove that as well as that that small curve that's down in the bottom right corner of the grid. Yeah,
this.
It gets squared off. It's all square right there.
Okay. All right. Easy enough. All right. And then we have our 2 screw holes. Now, these are part of the model. They've already got kind of the screw holes, and they've got this recess and everything in here already. And we would have to, try to, find their dimensions and things like that, and see how, if they're on, right? If they're, when I say on, if they were created properly, proper depths, proper thicknesses, and all that stuff. What I'm pretty much seeing here, Ronnie, is the way I would approach this is in the 2D view here. I'm going to select on the model. So we have our grayscale here. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create kind of a vector boundary. And on that vector boundary, it's going to create my outline profile here. And then it's going to create my screw hole just on the inside of that hole. I don't necessarily need the outside because I can do offsets and all of that stuff when I'm creating the vectors myself, but at least have kind of a position location for them. Now, once I had those vectors, I honestly, with the changes that you're wanting to make and everything, I would pull well, let's try that again without the model selected. Let's turn that off. And I'll hold the control key down. I'm just going to drag out a copy here. So first things first, number one, you wanted to remove this cove. Okay. So I'm going to ungroup the vector. I'm going to go into node editing. I'm going to zoom in. There's a little kick out there and all too. I'm actually going to take that all out. I'm going to cut the vector here, zoom in, and I'm going to cut the vector here. And I'm going to delete that vector. From there, I'm going to use the extend tool. In the drawing tabs, I'm going to use the extend tool. I'm going to click on this vector first and this vector second, and it's going to extend and rebuild that corner. Now, once that's done, if I needed it rounded off, let's say rounded off, then I could do a fillet. And just as an example, so you understand, so everybody understands what I'm talking about, first things first is I want to make sure it's a closed vector that I just created with that extend tool. And if I needed to have it rounded off, then I'm going to, let's say, for instance, I want a 1/8 inch radius there. I can click on that and I can round it off. Do you know what I mean? If it needed to be. I don't know if it needs to be or not, but that's what we would do. We would extend, and it creates the extend tool takes this line and extends it to a common point of intersection to recreate that corner. And then from there, if that corner needed to be rounded off or whatever, then I could do that with a fillet tool. Okay. Now up here, coming up here at the top, this shape here, I'm assuming we still need this kick out and everything needs to be here, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now, one of the things that I would do is I would look at the condition of the vectors, make sure there's not anything crazy, going on that's not supposed to be there or anything like that. And, when we're looking at the model, if I zoom in, this grip, and let's go to the 3D view. And let me spin this around this way. Let me zoom in. Bear with me. I'll get us there. I don't know if you can see that little booger
It shouldn't be
of
there.
a piece of material. It doesn't need to be there. But when the vector was drawn, it tried to outline that. So once again, it does not need to be there. We're going to go into node editing. We're going to come over. Let me hit close. Zoom in. We're going to go in and cut the vector. I'm actually going to cut it back here. Over here, get on our corner, cut it there. Delete that corner, and then again, use the extend tool. Click on this line first, this line second to rebuild that back corner. Okay. So
does it make
always
a difference the order of where you click
No.
that on?
Nope, does not make a difference on what line you click first. Basically, what's happening is, let me undo that just for a second. If I hover my mouse, if I'm in the extend tool, if I hover my mouse here, you'll see that it shoots this line out to infinity. And if I hover my mouse here, you can see it shoots that one out to infinity. Well, there's going to be a common point of intersection. And what this does is if I click on this line, I'm selecting that line first, and it doesn't matter which line I select first, and I click on this, it basically, where those two lines intersect, that's where it creates them to. Okay. Now, what we always want to do after just because we extended a line, it does not mean that we actually joined this vector. So what we always want to do is follow up with the join tool and make sure that it did close itself. If not, then just hit join and close it. Okay, so we've redrawn those two corners. And for the most part, everything, looks good. But what I would like to do, what I would feel more comfortable doing, is because of the edges, these little zigzag edges of the model, the lines, when the software traced the model, tried to draw those lines, what I would do is, or what I would prefer to do is in node editing, I'm going to delete this span, and I'm going to rejoin it with a straight line. So I'm redrawing that line. So it gets rid of any zigzags that might have occurred in the model. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to delete this span, and then I'm going to rejoin with a straight line. All I'm doing is making sure that my vector line from point A to B has no funky deviancies because the model had some pixelating, you know what I mean? And everything. So I'm not, going too crazy with that, but that's what we're doing here. All right. Now, the shape of this here, it is taking the outside shape of the model, not the bevel in. And that model does have that shape. So I'm going to leave that as is. I do not believe it should be just a single arc from here to here. I do believe it does have a step down. And if you wanted to verify that, Ron, it's on the back side of the handle. I believe that is the back side. Yeah. Just off the backside corner, there's a slight little step down before it goes into an arc.
And that is
if that's
correct.
That is correct. Okay, good. So we want to keep that. Okay, now on our inside holes, Ron said that says, Laney, the screw head pocket, which is the outer, the top, the countersink, let's call it the countersink, it has a diameter of 0.304 with a recess of 0.052. And then the screw hole, which would be the inside hole, has a diameter of 0.232, right? So if we look at if I select this circle here and we look at the size tool, we're pretty close. It's not a perfect circle because, again, it's a tracing. The software tried to trace what it saw, right? So it's 0.2371. At least we're in that 2.3 range, right? But we're actually going to run. I'm going to go with your numbers on these holes. So I'm actually going to select both of these. And I'm going to check on the box that says scale the items individually. I just want to do them both at the same time. scale the items individually, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to change this to make it a true circle. 232. 232. And I'm going to apply that. So I'm just going to make that small little change. Okay. And that gets me in there. And now I can offset those two holes outward to the vector we need for the countersink, for where the head kind of goes in and recesses below the surface. So that diameter was 0.304. So I know that I'm kind of going, when I offset outward, I'm offsetting a certain distance here. And it's offsetting that distance basically on both sides of the circle, right? So I need to kind of divide I need to do some math. So I'm going to take the 0.304 and I'm going to divide that by 2. I'm sorry, that's a lot. I'm going to subtract. I'm not going to divide that by 2. 0.304, and I'm going to subtract minus the 0.232, 0.232. I'm going to hit equals. And then the remaining number, that's the offset distance that I need between those two, but I need to split that in half because that way when I offset that half distance, when that full circle will be the full size I need. So I'm going to take that 0.072 and I'm going to divide that by 2. Get my 2 in there and hit equals. All right. No sharp corners, select the new, and I'm going to offset. And I went the wrong direction. Let's undo that and let's offset outward. Okay. Now, as a whole, if I select this, I should be at 0.304. Now, if I look at my size tool, I'm not at a perfect 304, 3039, right? 3038. And again, that's because there's some kind of deviation in my original circles. So we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that to ourselves. So let's undo that for a moment. Let's get our circle tool out. Type in our 0.232. That's what size our circles need to be. And let's snap right to the center of this circle. And let's create that. If we zoom in, you can see the new circle's pink, old circles, there's that deviation, right? So get rid of that old circle. All right, delete it. All right, let's go back over here. Circle tool, 0.232. Get right to the center of it. It'll snap to the center. Click, zoom in, find a place where it deviates so we can select. See, there's a bad deviation there. We can select the other one. Oops. Give me just a second. Select that outer bad one and delete. Now I know this is 0.232. Now I know when I offset this outward, when I select that circle and I go to the size tool, I'm at 0.304, right? Clean up what needs to be cleaned up and never take anything for granted, right? So I did the trace of the model. It created what it saw. I thought, hey, we're off by a number. Let's change the number. Still working on that vector that the software traced, right? And there was still some, it changed it down to the 0.232 size, but there was still some deviation in it. And when we offset it, that offset got deviated as well. So we created brand new clean circles, offset, everything is nice and clean. Okay. And positions and all, we're working off of, the original vectors. We just snapping to the center of those things and all. Okay. So now these two vectors here, these 4 vectors, if you will, the 2 circles on each end, they could be set up like pocket toolpaths, for the recess and the through cut. They don't need to be part of the model. Now, for the model itself, if I came in here and I just created the model, if I just came in here and created the model shape, I would be a miss. If I came in here and said, okay, let me just select this vector. Let me come over here. I'll create a curve profile, and I'm going to go 60 degree. Oh, not that on that. So sorry. I'm going to go curve profile 60 degrees on that curve and 0 base height. Let me get things going here. And no limit. And I just click apply, and it's going to make this model and create this 60-degree dome and all that stuff. Yeah, it'll get us somewhere, but it won't be the right somewhere we need. Look at this in the 3D view. Oops, hold on a second. Let me recreate this falseness. Hold on a second. All right, and then we get into the 3D view of this. What's happened is basically we kind of created a pillow top, if you will. Because this is a closed vector, it's trying to dome both sides of the corner. So on each one of those ends in the four corners, it's trying to create a dome this way and this way until it gets to the middle, to the main dome, and it creates what's called like a pillow top, I call it, you know. It's like a cushion on a pillow. We don't need this. This grip needs to have a nice arch, you know, a nice shallow arch and everything to it. So we cannot create the shape on the closed vectors. We need to kind of open them up. And what we're going to do is the arc here, we're going to go with the height of the script. We're going to use the number 0.265 as our height and everything. And based on the width between the lines, how they're wide on this end and they're narrow on this end, we're going to do a 2-rail sweep. And when the arch that we draw sweeps and all, it will scale itself accordingly based on how close or far apart the models is. It'll take the proper taper that it needs for the height. We're slightly higher on this end than we are on this end, but it's not much. You know, it's just that slight, you know, kind of taper. There's not a whole lot. It's pretty consistent, but there is a little bit of a deviation. And so how we generate that is we first of all delete that. And here we're going to go to our proposed corners here. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a combination of two things. We're going to create two new lines that represent the lines of the sides of the gun here, the grip, not the gun. Don't block me, YouTube, for saying the G word. But the grip, we're gonna recreate those two lines with a copy and paste. You know, keep everything exactly the same. We're going to disconnect them by cutting the vector on the corners. We're going to disconnect them from the ends, and we're going to do a 2-rail sweep. And then we're going to take this vector and we're going to do a clear. We're going to say clear everything outside of that vector. So it erases everything on the outside of the vector, and we're left with just what's inside. So how we do that is on our boundary here, we copy and paste. You can do that in your drawing tools up here with the two buttons. You can right click and go copy paste, or shortcuts, Control C, Control V, totally up to you. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do this on another layer. I'm going to go add a new layer, and I'm going to call this my 2-rail sweep. And I'm going to take, as long as that layer is active and I can see it there, when I copy Control C, Control V, it's going to paste that copy on that new layer. So I can now come in and turn off my, did it not? Give me a second here. Did it not copy onto the new layer? What's up with that? All right, that's okay. I will sit there and move it to that new layer. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I thought it would copy right onto that active layer. It should have. I think it should have. I don't know why it didn't. But now I can turn the originals off. I need them. They're not going away. I can turn them off. But now I can come into node editing and I can cut the vector. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, everything that we're doing on the left, rinse and repeat for the right, or you could mirror this as well too for the right. It doesn't matter. But the right might have some deviations depending on what type of, slides and accessories and all. So keep that in mind too. But I want to come back to this corner and cut the vector there and cut the vector here. Now, I just need pass, right? I need pass. So I'm going to just, on these copies here, I'm just getting rid of the ends, keeping my pass the same, but I need them to be a little bit longer because when I clear everything outside of the original vector, I need something for it to be able to erase, right? I don't need it to go right to the end of these lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and draw a line across the top, doesn't matter where. And I'm going to draw a line across the bottom. And I'm going to use my extend tool to extend this line to here, that line to there. This line, let me get on it, to here, and this line to here. Okay, all I'm doing is making them just a little bit longer. Same orientation that they're heading, just a little bit longer. And then once I've done that, I'm going to take the select tool and get rid of the ends. I still need the two rails to be open, right, for a two rail sweep. Now we are going to create a profile. Now, Ronnie said that the grips have a height of 0.265. Now, there's not just the round at the top. There's also a little bit. I mean, it's so small, but there's a little bit of straight meat kind of. It's a little bit of straight meat, and then it arches into the arch, on this grip. So we got to take that into account and everything. So what I want to do is I am going to not account for it in my arch, but when the model's done, I will add base meat to it last. Okay. So what I need is I just need an arc. Now, for the arc, I'd like to do my best to to match up the width. It's going to sweep to a certain scale, but I at least want to kind of give me a proper start, right? So in here, it's going to be a straight line, but I'm going to kind of snap to here, and then I'm going to pull this up into an arc. And let me move this off that for a moment. And let me put a guideline down here and snap to the bottom of that. There's a height here, right? On the grips. Now, for right now, I am going to assume that we have about a 1/16 of an inch of the straight meat before it goes into the arc. So I would like my arc to at least be 0.2 inches tall. We have 0.265. Okay. So I'd like to be at least 0.2 on the height of the arc, not counting any straight meat underneath it. Now, Ronnie, this is something that can be adjusted. Okay. So it is there's a little bit of there's something that can be adjusted from there. But that's the numbers I'm going to kind of go with. And if you happen to know them off the top of your head, let me know. Go ahead, Charlie. If you're talking to me, Charlie, turn your mic on. Charlie, are you trying to talk to me? No? Oh, he might be on the other line. I don't know. All right, Charlie, I thought you might have been talking to me. Okay. So on my arc height, I want it to be at least 0.2. Okay. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of those times where I'm not frozen. You all should be able to see me and everything, but my computer that runs the design software has decided to lock up. And it's one of those things that when it does that, it is locked up. So give me just a second.
Laney?
This is why you save early and save often. Yes.
Oh, when I'm trying to do like a 2-rail sweep, like you're doing here with this arc, what I do is I create a box, say the height of the arc, you know what I mean? And then like like you said, you needed them 2 little straight sides, on it where it's like flat a little bit. I usually do like the 2 little lines, the height they would be, and then put my arc on, and then go in there and cut the box out.
Yes, 100%, absolutely, and that's what John is trying to say is, on this arc that I'm drawing, he would draw the 2 little legs. He would draw a box to the height everything needs to be, and then he would draw the 2 little legs and the arch in between. What I'm doing, John, is I'm actually just doing the 2-rail sweep, and I'm going to add that whole base underneath all in one shot with just a single click of the button without having to draw the legs. Because right now I don't know how tall the legs are. That meat, I'm going to assume it's a 16th of an inch, and I could do that as well too. But right now, I've lost everything we've done up to that point. So stand by 1 second. Love it when playing. Let's see here. When the computer just completely.
Is there like an autosave functionality here?
Not in Aspire. No, not in Vectric. No. Nope. All right. Stand by, ladies and gentlemen. Got all the internet technical support all figured out, but then I click a button and my computer decided to say, "Hey." Of course, it's going to say, "Hey, you know what, Laney? All the hard work you did today, running around to cops and getting in the attic and changing your wires and this and that, it doesn't mean shit because I'm going to lock up on you anyway." Yeah. Damn. All right, give it just a moment. And while that's doing that, let's bring the guys back up for just a second. This will be our intermission. And let me get me back full screen so you're not looking at my HP scroll in the background. All right. So what you're going to see is me very quickly, as soon as the program starts back up, I'm very quickly going to re-import that model, outline the vector, redraw the 2 circles, get my corners cleared up, and get us right back to exactly where we were. Should only take just a few seconds to get us back there, but I've got to redo it again. And once I do all that, I'm going to save it so we don't run into that issue again. Anyway, from time to time, something occurs. In this case, it was just a click of a mouse. I just clicked the mouse to resize that arc, and it locked up. It's something that it locks up and it doesn't move, and there's no escaping it. It doesn't come out. Can't get it.
I think I've heard you make a comment about save early, save often.
Save often. I say that all the time, and I never listen to my own advice, and it just bit me in the ass right now. Excuse my language, ladies and gentlemen, if there's any kids watching, but it just got me. But now, John, John is absolutely correct, and when there's a couple of ways we could approach this, but John starts off with a box the size of, the shape that he needs, and he'll create the legs, and then he'll draw his arc in between those two legs to the height of, so it's all matches the same height and everything. And that is an absolute, there's nothing, that's a standard approach, right? What I'm doing is I'm creating the arc, doing the sweep, and I'm actually adding the base meat after in the properties tab. So same similarity, just different approaches. And the reason why I'm doing that, John, the method, or the reason why I'm doing that is because the arc, because of the taper of the two lines, they don't come in that dramatic, but they are wider on the out, the bottom of the grip versus up. The arc is going to lose some height as it comes across, and that's fine. But I need that meat to stay consistent. And if the meat is already built into the model when it's getting swept across, it's going to get flattened too, right? And I need that meat to stay consistent through the whole grip. Whatever it is, if it's a 16th, a 6th, whatever, I need to stay consistent, because that's my meat that sits on the firearm, with my screw handles and everything. The grip is just the decorative part for the modeling and stuff. So that's why I'm approaching the way that I do, and not making it part of the initial 2-rail sweep. But give me just a second here. Well, so far so good. Listen, hey, knock on wood, ladies and gentlemen. You can see that you all should be able to see me clearly, hear me clearly. I shouldn't sound like a robot. Everything should be, streaming just well. That redundancy is doing its job, so I'm happy.
So far, you've been coming in 5x5, so
Speedify, man, Speedify takes all of my networks, even my mobile networks, and all, and bundles them together as one, and it takes my package, my streaming package, and splits it on all them. And if 1 falls, 2 fall, 3 fall, 4 fall, it's still the package still gets to its destination. If I only had 1 Ethernet or 1 Wi-Fi and it dies, then you guys get buffering and this and that. Now I have redundancy, right? It goes out along all of my networks. So not blurry. There we go. All right, let's get back into the Vectric Aspire software. And I'll get my, as soon as we get back up here. Merch links in the bio, by the way. Sure. No, I'm just kidding. I wish I could say that one day. Not yet. There's no shirt yet. Shirts and hats. I'm working on that. Sweaters, jackets.
holster.
All right. Holster. I have, I forget what brand holster I just got, but it's a nice one. Okay. Let's get me back on full screen here. We're back. Let me get my head out of the way. We're back. All right, I'm going to hold down the shift key, click on create a new file. I would love to be able to click on open an existing file. That would be cool, right? I'm going to go in here to the, I'm still going to stick with my 6x6 by 0.375. And again, we're going to mill everything down to its proper size and stuff. This is what I'm working with for the class. And I want to be an extremely high, and I'm going to click OK. All right,
Laney, can I ask a quick question on that setup? Is it because you're building this new, you didn't select double-sided, or?
This isn't a two-sided model. I would make the left and the right on the same side of the material.
But it is a two-sided model, or it should be.
One single grip. I'm talking about left, not right. We're not dealing with right.
Yeah, but on the underside of each model, you're going to have that same type of recess going.
The 4 pockets?
Not the 4 pockets, but you have to recess the, like you're doing on the front side for the recess holes. You have to do the same on the back side of the grips to fit down over the points on the frame that the
Okay.
grips fit into. So they're
All
like
right,
studs on the actual machine frame.
Yep, no problem. No problem.
I only asked that because I didn't know if that was
No, it was
a
created
reason.
as a single side because it was an unknown. I didn't realize there was a pocket on the back side
Yeah,
as well.
there's some small detail on the backside. One there's a real small recess on the backside on one side of the grip. I can't remember which side now, but it's for the mainspring at the bottom of the frame
Okay.
of the 1911.
Yep, no problem. All right, so we're going to set that up. All right, we're going to go ahead and we're going to import our model again. And again, I'm going to go with the original. I'm just doing left right now. And okay, I see what you're talking about. So that little recess there. Okay, no problem. I'm going to click on the Z up here in the top right corner. Let me get my mouse pointer open back up again. Stand by 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. All right, scale, metric to inches, center, bottom, going to keep that the same, slide this down, import. Okay. All right, in the 2D view, I'm going to trace the component. I'm going to take that and slide it over to the right. Select my vectors there, hold down the control key, drag that back over here. We're going to go into the, I'm going to ungroup that. We're going to go into the circle tool, 232 diameter. I'm going to go ahead and snap to the center of this, come in there and get rid of that. Stand by. There we go. Circle tool, snap. Now,
that's not your outside diameter of the circle, was it? Did you change the setting on your circle when you clicked into it?
Give me just a second. Stand by to answer that question. Give me a moment. .232 is my inside diameter. That inside diameter, John. Which should be 0.232. Yeah. 0.232. So this circle here, ungroup, was 0.2394. And so this 0.232 was just snapped to the center of that, in the copy and just put in place. With me? I know it probably looks different from the first go around, right? Node editing. We're going to cut the vector on this corner and this corner. Going to cut the vector on this corner and this corner. And I'm going to use the extend tool to extend this corner here. And I'm going to use the extend tool to extend this corner. Okay. Now I'm going to go into node editing. I'm going to cut the vector here. And here. There. And there. And I'm going to select my two ends, and I'm going to join them with a straight line, not that way. I'm going to join them. Let me just do one at a time. All right. We'll select this and this. Join with a straight. It's going to. All right. Give me just a second here. Okay, so that, I'm going to, bear with me a second. I'm going to connect those two together just for a moment, so that way I can join this with a straight line on one side. There we go. And then go back into node editing, cut that vector on the other side. Cut that vector, delete that span. Could have just deleted the span, that's fine. And then join with a straight line. Okay, so this is where we were up until we selected this. Control C, Control V, copy, paste, and then I'm gonna move this to a new layer. And I'm going to call this my 2-rail suite.
Can I ask a quick question, Lanny?
Yes.
Did you create the recess?
Not yet. The offset for the holes? Not yet.
Yeah.
Just take a hole right now. So we're going to do that. We'll do that. Let's do it right now before we copy and paste. Well, no, that's fine. I could have copied and pasted because that's just the 2-rail suite. Give me just a second. Okay, let me turn this one off for just a moment. All right, on the holes here, we're going to do our offset in outward direction. And that'll be the vectors for the recess. To create the offset, we take our 0.304, subtract the 0.232. The answer gets divided by 2, and that number gets offset, and then it creates that offset for a total of the 304. So when we select this, when we look at the size, we should be at 0.304. Okay. All right, coming in here and turning off everything. Now this is at the point right here at the 2-rail where we crashed. File save. File save as, and I'm just going to call this my. It'll be my 1911 class. We'll just call it that. All right. Now, the copy here that we're in, the copy, I'm going to go ahead and I'll just draw a line up here. I'm going to draw a line down here. I'm going to go into node editing, and I'm going to cut the vector on this end. I'm going to, did someone just call my name? I'm going to cut the vector on this end. Oh, okay. Get rid of that. I don't need the holes there for right now. Those are on the originals. And I'm going to use the extend tool just to extend my drive rails for my 2-rail sweep, just to make them longer. Okay. The only purpose for doing that is just to make the sweep slightly longer so that I can trim it to size. All right. Now let's look at John's method here. So our overall height is going to be 0.265. Okay. Now my overall width on here is 1.557, and the actual width of the grips and everything, according to Ron's numbers, is 1.572. Right. This is the width of the grips based on the model. So we got to just figure out which one of those is we're going to use. But for right now, I'm just going to use this. So 1.557 by 0.265. That's what my rectangle here needs to be. 1.557, 0.265. Not that. Make sure you have the right vector selected when you do stuff like that. 1.557, 0.265. Okay. Now, John was describing that he would create his leg. So let's say that I have a straight line, and let's say that line needs to, let's say it's a 1/16 of an inch. Okay. So I'm going to create a line 0.625 inches tall. Give me just a second. I'm going to do it. My mouse is shaky. And then space bar. I'm going to select that line. Well, first of all, I'm going to draw a middle line here. Let me get a middle line right there. Oh, don't do that. If you're going to draw a middle line for flipping and mirroring, make sure it's straight as an arrow. Okay, I'm going to take this line that I just drew. I'm going to select this center line, and I'm going to mirror it by flipping about that line. So it puts another one over here, and make sure that we're flipping a copy. Now, John takes his arc tool at that point, and he snaps to the top of those lines and then pulls an arc up to the height of his box here. And when it's all said and done, and I missed my mark. Hold on a second. Let me go back to my arc tool. Let me get rid of this line for a second. I don't need it anymore now. Arc tool. Make sure that we are snapping to the end of our lines, ladies and gentlemen. Am I in the line tool? Of course I'm in the line tool. Arc tool would help. Let's do it again. Get in that middle. And now I should be able to get rid of that box. All right, close enough. Not really, just kidding. Let me, why is my snap? We're going to try this again. There's the end point. I'm confident on that one. Let me zoom in. Get close and personal with this. That should be my end point. All right. Third time's a charm. I'm happy with that one. Okay. And so John would take that and make sure it's one vector, those three vectors. And that's what he would sweep along the 2-rail sweep. Am I correct in that, John? In what you were describing?
Yes, I would make one for the top and one for the bottom, and then sweep it across it.
One for the top and one for the bottom.
Yeah, like one on the very top of the two lines and one at the bottom of the two lines, because the bottom is narrower. I could
right.
be wrong.
I get what you're saying. And if we do that, if we make a one for the top, one for the bottom, then when we're in the 2-rail sweep, we don't have to use the option to scale the cross sections with the width. We can tell it to keep its current scale, right?
Because what I do is I take and click on the profile, I guess you would call it, and then click on the line and place it on the line, and then take the other one and do the same thing. It's probably what you're doing. You're just doing it the easier way than what I do it.
Right, because when we use our drive rails here, just know this, that when I have this scale cross section with width, it's going to scale this down to that second copy that you're making.
See, I didn't know that, so that's why I was always making two.
Yeah, no. Now, if I wanted to not scale and I wanted to, try to keep it like is a consistent height all the way across, then I would create the two, and that way it stays, based on what I scale it to.
Right.
But when we do it this way, when we do our 2 rail sweep here and everything, when we look at the 3D model, it creates that curve. Okay. Now that 16th, according to from here versus here, that's a lot more than a 16th of an inch on that meat, that side meat. So the that is a significant difference between the two on as far as the thickness is concerned and everything and all. So I don't know what, let me see if I can tell here. .0660. So, I mean, that's close. Let's see what we got here. 0.04. So
I've got just on the example I have here, looks like about 0.088.
Okay, 0.088.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Now, because I did not scale with the cross sections, this brings me more in line here on the back side, but on the front side, no. This is where John's method of creating these two, the transition between the two comes into play. With John's method, since I'm not using the scale cross section because the scale cross section doesn't give me the right heights and everything, if I turn that off, then John's method of, let's come over here and let's get rid of that.
Does it matter that your profile is wider than the bottom up at the top? I mean, that whole profile looks a lot wider.
It is a lot wider.
Yeah, I think you had the link on for XY when you were setting that box.
Hold on a second. When I was drawing the box?
Yeah, I think the link was on.
It should be hold on a second. 1.557.
Yeah. And when you set that and then change the height,
2.385. Yeah, that's much wider. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Let me do this again. Okay. 1.557. 0.265. That's my box.
Yeah. Muy bueno.
Okay, let's try that. Let's try that. Okay. Let's turn on all right, let's select this component. Let's select this vector or this model, this vector, and let's clear everything outside of that vector away. All right, so a little bit more meat height is what we need. Because that is my 16th that I drew there. You said what, 0.08 what now?
0.088.
Okay. Uh, 0.088 minus 0.0625 equals
His back end looks like it's got a flapping on the top. That end right.
there's a chamfer.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, see right where the screw hole is? It looks like it's flat right there. If you look at that end profiles, maybe not. Maybe it's just the way the picture. See where yours looks real hard.
Yeah, there's a piece of grain. I don't know if you can see the dark grain right here. It gives it kind of a flat appearance, and also the chamfer gives us that optical delusion of it being flat here, but it's arched.
Okay.
All right, now let's take a look at if I were to select this and look at the overall height of this, 0.255 overall. And this 0.257 on the shape height. And then that that 0.08 shape height is from the top of this straight edge to the top of the highest part of the model, 2574. And then this meat here is that 0.08, whatever it was, 0.08 something.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are, oops. Wish there was a version 12 would come out, so I have a way of dynamically changing this around. But all right. Okay. A few more days, not too long. Version 12 will be out in April. Okay. So this is going to be our model height here. Now the holes and stuff aren't here. They're screw holes and everything. Make sure our vectors are turned back on. The model here, I'm going to go ahead and move this model to that layer 1 so I can turn off the 2-rail sweep vectors and everything. And the model, I'm going to go ahead and turn that off just for a second. My somehow or another, my offset little screws, when I hit an undo, my undo disappeared on those. So give me just a second to
Save.
But let me go offset outward. There we go. File save. And let me take those vectors and move them back to layer 1. Okay. All right. So I've got the model turned off for the moment so I can see the vectors. Now, the recess that goes over the pegs on the back side of this model, right? I'm going to assume it's the same size as the recess, this 0.034 here, but that would probably be the wrong assumption. And if I go into the original model and I look at this in the 3D view, it's not really going to show me that other side, because when I imported the model in, I didn't import both sides, right? So I'm going to re-import this really quickly, this model right here. I'm just going to take this one for the moment and just kind of move it over here for a minute. I'm going to re-import this model again. Only thing I'm changing this time is I'm gonna it's the job is set up as a 2-sided job now, right? So I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna go scale metric to inches, center model, bottom. Nothing's changed, you know, as far as what I'm doing here. The only difference is I'm gonna create, you know, both sides of this. Okay. And the let me get into my 0 plane here. I'm not going to have too much of an overcut. But you know, this here, I need to be able to overcut the line when I'm on side 2. I need to be able to overcut into the pockets of this recess. So I'm just going to give myself that 0.08 overcut distance. I'll just go, yeah, 0.08 is fine to start off with now. You'll have to tell me, Ronnie, how deep that recess is on the backside. But I'm going to import this file. And what this should do when I import it is I should be able to see those vectors here, right? And everything. Now, as far as this is concerned, on the back side and everything, if I if I need these gone, then I can go into my 2D view. Got to switch over to side 2. And let me, first of all, let me get everything lined up on side 1 first. Give me just a second. All right, let me switch over to side 2. Of course, side 2 doesn't move with side 1. We'll call that for a moment. I don't care about this this model here because we're recreating a new one over here, but I do care about, showing how to get rid of these pockets on the 3D view. When we're looking at this here. So when I'm in the 2D view, I can go ahead and I can't just create a vector boundary, because it's only going to create the vector boundary on, the outside. It's not going to create in here. So what I actually need to do is I actually need to trace. Use the trace bitmap tool, turn the fading off. I'll turn this up to 75 is kind of my threshold. Preview, apply, and close to create those additional vectors that I need. On here, okay, on here, if I select these vectors and not, let's ungroup them, just these vectors, and I clear everything out inside those vectors, right? In the bear with me a second. In the 3D view, you should only be looking at one side right now. Let me turn off the other side for just a moment. In the 3D view, I should have this hole here, right? These holes. Now, I'm going to offset them, all 4 of them, just a few thousandths of an inch. Offset. Where's my offset? In the drawing tools. Offset outward. Oh, hell, I'll go point a 32nd. That's fine. And I'm going to rebuild that shape with a flat shape. So it's going to be a flat shape, and I'm going to give it some height. In this case, I'm just going to go the 0.08 for right now. And I'm going to click apply. And it should have been a merge. Let me do that again. Merge, not add. Merge, and then click apply. And 0.08 was too high. Let's bring it down a little bit. And I should be able to dynamically do this on the fly, but I don't think it'll show me. And instead of guessing what the height is and everything, just hover your mouse over this area and see if it gives you any inkling. And it should fill in, right?
Well,
all right, so close that. Okay, so that's how we would get rid of those pockets. Basically, draw around the pockets, clear out that material, offset those vectors, because if we don't offset, then it creates like a little, like it's almost like an inlay, right? It's glued into the pockets and all. We want it to build in and merge. We're filling in that area. So we offset outward, rebuild the shape up, and it blends in with the existing model. to fill that in. Right? Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Okay. That's how we would do that. Now, here, this outside recess here, this is this new side here. We're coming in at 0.2944 inches in diameter. So,
Can those other values on the top side be copied over to this back, or?
yeah, sure. Oh, yeah, absolutely. We're going to do that. Those vectors and everything, they
Yeah.
can be copied over. They can be copied over for sure. But this number is what I needed, right? So it's 2944 of the two of the worst evils, I'm going to go with 2944. You can get exact with your micrometer and all that stuff. But the reason why I'm not doing anything with this is because this is our working model. This is our working model over here.
Gotcha.
So on our working model, we're going to take these vectors, right? Not the outside, just the inside. Sorry. These vectors. And I'm going to copy them to the other side. The profile, I'm going to copy to the other side. And that's it for right now. So that way, when I switch to the other side, I've got, my vectors here. And this number, this pocket recess, for the backside, it's 0.2944, 295, what have you. This is 232, right? That's our center hole. Once again, just like we did on the other side, I'm going to select both of these. I'm going to offset. I'm going to offset outward. The number that I want to reach, 0.29, I'll just go 5, minus the number that it is, 0.232, equals. That number gets divided in half, divided by 2, equals. And that is the offset amount. That way, when I offset and I select this hole, it is 0.295. Okay? You guys with me on that?
Gotcha.
Now, that'll be just a simple pocket cut. Pocket, pocket. On the other side, pocket, pocket, and then a through cut, drilling operation or pocket cut all the way through. This is going to carve. This pocket cut is going to carve as deep as you need it to carve. This one's going to carve. You're going to have your alignment pins and flip, that kind of thing. Now, we are going to consider the bottom of our board, side 2, as the bottom of the grip. Okay? So this grip is sitting in the bottom, not in the middle, floating in the board. It's at the bottom. So when we're on the back side and we do our little pocket holes, that's where the little pegs that are sticking up on the actual frame, that those rest on. Okay, so this is the bottom. So we're only drilling however deep we need to drill. We do our alignment holes. We, come in and flip that board over and, do our alignment holes in our waste board, get that board on there. Now the model, the grip from the bottom up, we're still zeroing out on the waste board. If you notice on the job setup, the job setup is set up. I didn't mention this earlier in the setup, but the setup is set up to touch off on the waste board for both sides. Okay. The waste board, we touch off on the waste board because the bottom of the grip is against that waste board. We're going from the bottom up and our grip is only 0.265. So all that other material on my 3/8 inch board gets milled away before the model starts getting shaped. All right. 0, the bottom of the grip, is on our board. It's on our waste board, right? So when we're side 1 for us is going to be the bottom of the grip doing our little pocket recesses. I'm going to go ahead and once again, I'm going to let me hit OK here. I'm going to select all of this and just move it off the board for a moment. And let's imagine I've done this and I've got my left and right grips here, both of them. Same steps. Now, true or false, Ronnie, are these both models identical for both left and right, or is there a difference because of certain type of...
They'll be different because on the other side, you're going to have down in that bottom, I think it's the bottom right corner, it will be, there's a small recess for the machine or the mainspring. And
Okay.
then on that other one, you also have that cutout for the thumb safety.
Okay. All right. So
there's not much
what we-
machining, but there is a little bit of machining on the back side of them.
Sure. But same height and all that stuff, that's pretty
Yes.
that's pretty
That's
consistent.
the same.
Right?
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
exactly. All right. So on the import, here is that cutout you're talking about. We are still planning on getting rid of that chamfer on the bottom and the top that we did on the original on the left side.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So once again, scale, center, slide, create both sides. I'm going to go 0.08. Try to keep all that consistent and everything. Bring that in. Okay. Now, so things don't get all mixed and matched and confused and left and right and everything, this is our working model, okay, for the left grip, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that model on. I'm going to turn off grip left, grip left, grip left. I'm going to turn off everything but that. What we just made.
Okay.
All the vectors, all the layers are on, right? So I'm going to take all the vectors and everything. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this. And I'm going to, well, I don't need the, let me turn off the 2-row sweep vectors. I don't need those on. I'm going to take this and I'm going to move it to its own layer. And I'm going to call this my left grip vectors and model. Okay, left grip vectors and model. Turn off the visibility for right now and click OK. So now my right grip, it's going to be rinse and repeat. So I'm going to come in and the first thing I'm going to do is create the vector boundary around the right grip. Okay, now make sure you don't do what I just did. Let me undo that. Make sure that whatever layer that you're in, make sure that you're create. I'm going to go right grip. I'm going to put this in that layer. Move to right grip. Did it not? The name didn't save. Hold on a minute. Right grip. It didn't like the enter. There we go. And let's turn off everything else. Okay. Make sure that that layer is visible. That means it's active. So when I draw the border around it, the vector boundary. Okay. All right. Now, on this model, we're still getting rid of this corner radius, correct? At the bottom
Yes.
right corner. Okay. So we'll turn this off. We're working with our vectors at the moment. So ungroup. Node editing. Node editing is that icon right over there, or it's the N on the keyboard. Delete. Join or extend. Wake up that vector. Okay. Now, there's a little bit of a little kick down right here. And I can see that when I go into node editing mode by this vector right here. So there's a slight kick down to here. And if I were to turn the model back on and everything, and we zoom in, the kick down is occurring right here, and it shouldn't. It should be just kind of a straight line shot and everything. It shouldn't be kind of pointing down. So I'm going to just eliminate that point. And actually, I'm going to cut the vector. Let me delete this span. And the node that was here, when I joined these two, it should have started back here. So let's go to my extend tool and extend this to here, and you can see the big difference, right? So it's a straight line. And then take my scissors and trim away that excess. Okay, so it's when you're doing this, look at the vectors. Don't assume, observe, say, is it supposed to be there? Is it not? And things like that. And because there was a little extra node right there in the original extend, it extended this line down, that line down, and so they intersected it at a different point. But when we got rid of that little kick down and we went back to that node, it extends the proper straight line. So always look closely and things. And once again, because our model has kind of this zigzag pixeled edge and everything, I'm not going to take the straight lines for granted. The only difference is I'm keeping this curve here. So when I go into node editing on this, I'm actually at the end of the curve. I'm going to cut that vector there. And at the end of the line, again, there's that kick out again. We don't need that kick out. But I'm going to cut the vector here and back here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I need kind of an extension point, right? So I'm going to use my extend tool first to go from here to here to create that corner. I need that corner, but I'm going to go back into node editing mode and I'm going to cut the vector right on that corner, because once again, I'm going to delete this line and I'm going to rejoin that straight line to that arc, join with a straight line. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side of the arc. Cut the vector there and here. And the lines, they may be, straight and all that stuff, but because it's tracing this model, I'd like to just create new vectors just for the insurance that, I'm getting a nice clean line. You know what I mean? And a nice straight line, nice connection. So the arc, for the most part, we're going to leave as is. If you want to redraw the arc, you could redraw the arc also, but it's, for the most part, it looks to be clean. Okay, so our hole, I'm assuming both pistol grip holes are going to be the same, 232, 304, all that stuff, right? Yeah. But these vectors are the vectors that were traced. You can tell that by all the nodes right there, and all those nodes mean their regularities. So circle tool, 232, I'm going to snap to the center of that circle and recreate the new one. Delete. Snap, recreate the new one. Delete. Then I'm going to select both of those. Offset outward 0.304 minus 0.232 divided by 2 equals 0.036. I should have remembered that from last time, but I didn't. Offset outward. Okay. That's going to be my countersink for the screw head. Inside vector and profile. Inside vector and profile will get copied to the other side for the other side, you know, pocket holes and all that stuff. But first, we're going to do the same thing we just did. We're going to recreate the shape because we're getting rid of this one.
Save it, Laney.
Yeah. Save. Good. Thank you. So keeping everything here, right? The only thing I'm going to do, I'm going to work off this side because my left is on this side, right? The only thing I'm going to do is I'm done with the model. I've got everything I needed from this model for now, so I can move it over here out of my way. And I'm just going to work off this. I'm not going to make copies or any of that stuff. I'm just going to work off this as my originals and all. So the only copy that I'm going to make is my 2-rail sweep copy. So I really only need, this outside profile. Control C, Control V, copy and paste. And I'm going to right click and move that to a new layer. And I'm going to call this my right side 2-rail sweep vector. Turn everything off except for that new copy. It's all what we just did on the left side. We're just doing it again. Node editing. Cut the vector. We got a little bit of a kick right here. I'm actually going to delete that point to get rid of it. Cut the vector here. Cut the vector there. My delete button, there we go, was not cooperating with me. Cut the vector on this corner. And here, now I don't have to cut the vector on the corners. There were no nodes in between. I could have right-clicked and deleted that span instead of just cut, you know, so many mouse clicks and all that stuff. I could have right-clicked and deleted the span, right? But I just didn't. Now, this arc is important for when we trim this model, okay? But it's not important for the 2-rail sweep. For the 2-rail sweep, I need a straight line. So I'm going to, no, don't do that. Cut the vector here and there. I'm going to select this vector and join with a straight line. And remember now, I still want to extend it past the grip, you know, length, because I'm going to trim to it. So I'm going to just draw redundant. I don't think redundant is the right word. I'm going to draw just waist lines to help me extend to. Gives me a point to extend to. And then they get deleted after the extension. So I'm going to extend this line to that line, this line to there, this line down to this line, and the same thing here. And once they've served their purpose, then those two lines can go away. Now, Ronnie, would you agree that the heights and everything are fairly consistent as far as if I use the same vector for the sweep? Would you agree?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to copy this vector over to my 2-rail sweep vector for the right side. And that way I can turn off that, and I'm got this here. And I'm going to assume, I would assume that my distances would be the same. So they would be, the right distance and everything on each side. So we're going to just go into the 2-rail sweep. Let's select this rail and this rail. Now, these lines are going in the wrong direction, and I would like to sweep from the widest to the narrowest point. I'd like to do that. So I want to actually I want to reverse this rail to put the start points so the arrows are facing the same. I'm going kind of wide to narrow. Wide to narrow, to narrow, to narrow. So now, with that being my selection, this is going to be my profile, and we're going to apply that. Okay. Now, we're here, and let me turn off the left one and everything. And we'll turn off the right. We'll need that right now. Here, once again, we're at that kind of 1/16 of an inch based on the lines that we drew. The properties tool, if you recall, we took that Ronnie, do you remember the number 0.08?
Yeah, 0.088.
Okay. We took that 0.088. We subtracted the 1/16 of an inch that I had already, 0.088 minus 0.0625. Okay, that gave us that 0.0255, same number as the other one. We're adding that extra height, in here and everything. And then once we've done that, now we can come back into our vector, right? This vector here. We can select this model, and we can clear everything outside of that vector, right? So now what we should be left with is, that. And if I turn on the left side component, and of course, one's upside, one's facing one's facing another, but that's our, our grips here. And the screw holes are done as a pocket cut and a through cut, drilling cut, or another pocket just going all the way through. So it's not part of the model. Okay. We have our clean models and everything, and our screw holes. We do them, we don't do them ourselves, but the CNC does them, but they're pockets. They're not part of the 3D rough or the 3D finish. And then the only thing that we need to do remaining is the other side. So let's switch to the other side. Okie dokie. And on the other side, we have this here. Now, of course, this is still in the center where we imported it in. Just because we moved the model over, when we created the, when we moved the top side, side one and everything, the bottom side doesn't move. It's still, it's waiting for us to position it and everything. So I can't see the model here because that particular layer happens to be turned off, right? And so here, I'm going to grab it right in this corner, snap it there. Let me zoom in. Missed that snap completely by a mile. Still slightly off. Let me zoom in. All right. So when I can't see on the model, right? the lightness and everything. There's not a whole lot I can do with that. And in right clicking on it and going down to the object properties, I might be able to turn the fading off, but it doesn't make that any darker. So it doesn't help me. But bear with me just a second. I got to get. This is the part that I dislike very, very much. And that's why we're not using this. This is just a working. It's not our finished model. I just want to kind of. I really don't need to be doing this. All I need to do is I need to get my vector number, my number for that vector. So I'm wasting time trying to get this lined up with that vector. But if I really want to, I should be able to take and select that model, select that vector, align to the center. No, definitely not. All right, let's move that over here. Not the boundary. Come on, Laney, you know better than that. Just the model. All right, all I need to do is trace like a picture. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm going to go to 75. That's kind of my lucky number. Preview, apply, and close. Now the vector that was created for that recess is coming in. I'd like to use the same numbers that's on the other side, grip, the left side, but this is coming in at ungroup 0.2923. 2923. And I believe we used 295 on the other one. Let me find out. Give me just a moment. Turn on my left grip vectors. $295 is what I use. So do you want to use the same 295 or do you want 292? 295, I think, yeah. Yeah, same numbers. So on the right side, these are already the clean circle vectors, the 232. They're already clean. So we're going to just offset 0.295 minus 0.232 equals. What was that number? That was a plus, not minus. Let's try that again. 0.295 minus 0.232 equals, there we go, that's more like it, divided by 2, offset. Okay, now on here, again, this is the bottom of the grip, so we don't need, honestly, what we did on the left hand, showing you how to get rid of those inside pockets and everything, we don't need, it actually doesn't need to be done because that's not going to carve. We're only carving the 2 little recessed pockets here. And then this board's getting flipped over. we're carving the model of the grip and then the profile cutout. So those pockets aren't going to be part of it anyway. But I wanted to demonstrate how to remove those by removing that material, offsetting the vector slightly, and rebuilding it flat and merging it in to get rid of those pockets, right? So at least you know how to do that if you ever needed to, but you don't need to. This isn't, they're not going to carve anyway. So we have our vectors now for our left grip and our right grip. And again, this, you can make any size piece of material, right? You can, if you have blanks already for your grips, like some rosewood or whatever, and you want to do one thing at a time, that's fine. Just give yourself some type of space or room for alignment pins, for flipping. That's going to be the critical part. Okay. All right. Let's stop for just a second. I want to bring everybody up because I want to answer some questions. There's a lot of questions and all. Let me bring me up full. All right, let's back up for just a minute and let's see what we got here. Brooks Martin asks, or generate a bulge for the palm, you'd multiple profiles, right? So some grips have that, I don't know what hand it is, but it has like a little bulge on it. I guess that would be, let me see here. Hold on. I'm left-handed. I use a thumb over grip. I don't know where the hell that bulge is. Mine are all smooth, but but some grips like revolvers and all, they have that bulge on the handle, and I'm assuming that's what Brooks Martin is kind of referring to. But yeah, you would use different profiles, and you would use you would create different shapes to put that together, to mold that together. You wouldn't try. You would not try to do that, Brooks, in one single 2-rail sweep, because it would sweep that bulge all the way across, and it's only in a certain area. I think that's the question you were asking. David says, you had a rectangle linked when scaling. I had the rectangle linked when scaling, and when I scaled that rectangle, it screwed up my profile size. That's why everything was screwed up back then. So thanks for bringing that to my attention. I just didn't see the comment, but you were absolutely right. Somebody else in the group pointed it out to me too online. Delusion, optical delusion. That's right. That's what it is. Brooks Martin says, Mark's textures would be cool on the grip. Absolutely, you can do. You can draw out. Let me go to side one for that just for a second, just to kind of illustrate this. Imagine, if you will, Brooks Martin, imagine, if you will, that I draw a line here. And imagine, if you will, that I draw a line here. And imagine if I take this line and
you can't see anything.
Right, you can't see anything because my head's in the way. Dadgummit. Let me move my head out of the way. Imagine, if you will, I'll be right back, guys, that I draw 2 lines. So one going down here, one going across the top. And I'm going to take this line and I'm going to offset it. And I'm going to offset it, let's say, just for right now, a 1/16 of an inch apart, 0.0625. Select new, and I'm going the wrong direction. Let's go inward. And I just offset that all the way across, right? My model, whatever. And then the vector here, I come in and I offset that. Again, I'm going the wrong direction. And I offset that across. Right, and basically I would make my line a little bit longer so that it, give me just a second. This will make sense. Let me make this line just a little bit longer. Just a little bit longer. All right, let me offset that across. Come on, did I make it long enough? No, that's okay. I'll stop. Okay. I'll just stop it right there for this example. Now, let's say that I take these lines. I select all of these lines here, and I select my profile, and I trim, clearing everything outside of the profile away, right? So, and then I select my vertical lines, and I select my profile, and I trim, clearing everything outside of the profile. And then basically what I've just created is kind of a hatch pattern, right? Now, this hatch pattern would be a profile cut. And let's say that I cut a 32nd inch deep, 0.03125. And I'm going to use a V-bit. I'll use a small angle V-bit. I don't want, too narrow a pyramid. So I'll just use 60 degree. Select. And I'm going to be on the line, and I calculate this toolpath, right? But now I can't just calculate the toolpath. I have to, on here, when I calculate, I have to project it onto the model, right? It has to follow the curve of that model when I calculate it, so that when it carves, and it's going to look like crap right now because the model actually isn't, there. Let me turn off the color, but ignoring everything outside right now. And you see those sharp points, we would want to dull that a little bit. I can show you how to do that, but it would create kind of that textured grip, right? That's one way you can do that and everything. Now, all this wood's going to get milled away, and it would just be a flat groove. So let me just do it real quick. I'm going to turn off. I'm going to select that. I'm going to do a 3D finish. I'll use a 1/8 inch tapered bonus. 1/4 inch would actually be good because it's just smooth. There's nothing there. Using the selected vector as the boundary. I'll let it go past the boundary by 1/8 of an inch. Calculate. Give it just a second. This will make sense when it all mills away.
I believe they call that checkering.
Right. All right. Preview that toolpath. Okay. And of course, my lines would go the whole grid. Right? I only selected a few of them, but I didn't have all the vectors selected. But you could create texturing or checkering or what have you, if you wanted that kind of grip.
Could you use the texturing tool, Lanny?
Sure. Yeah, you can use the texturing toolpath. It's going to create. It's going to create a random pattern. It won't be this is kind of a consecutive pattern. It's going to create just kind of a randomness. But yeah, you could.
Now, if you put a vector, say a designed vector, inside that outside vector, you could do your checkering just into that, so that you would still have a smooth area all the way around.
Yes, 100%, absolutely. Yeah, what John is referring to is, if let's say I took my grip, right, my grip profile, and let's say I offset it inward a 1/2 inch, just as an example. Oh no, 1/2 inch is going to be too much. Let's go 3/16, 1/875. So on that, when I select this checker pattern, bear with me. Let me turn off these circles real quick. So if I was doing something like this, I would select the vectors. I would select that inside offset. And again, it would be the trim tool, clearing everything outside of the vector away. Oops, wrong way. Inside, clearing outside, I chose. Let me hit undo. Control Z. Make sure I clear outside, not inside. And I could, have that smooth, outside edge, but I would have that checkering in between, right? And again, I didn't finish the checkering, lines and everything. So they would be, that grid would be all the way down, or it would just be in a certain area. Maybe it would be between the two grips. You can create any design, any shape you want, and you could checker within there, or, what have you. So, all right.
If you pick the circle hole, the outer circle, and inner
I
circle,
can clear.
right? Yep. You could clear that, and that way it would leave that clean rim around the hole.
100%. So it would clear away those vector lines around the hole, so it creates that, that it doesn't, the checkering doesn't go up to that rim. It creates a nice little smooth area, right? Just, however big you want it, right on the, the outside of the countersink, I think we were calling it. Right. Yep. So a lot of things that you could do from there. So here, and Ronnie, I hope I'm answering some of the questions that you had on this.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we have now is we have, two, we have our left and our right smooth, right? No screw holes or anything in, not counting this sample right there. Let's get rid of that. We have our smooth. We've gotten rid of our chamfers and everything. Now that's something you could add it in, or it's something that you could, just ease over, a little filing or something. If you were kind of, wanting to put a little bit of a human touch to it too as well, ease over the edges or something if it was necessary. But like you, I don't like that chamfer going up on the grips. And you carve the bottom side all you're doing is 4 little recesses, 2 on each thing, just that recess that goes over that little stud. That's all you're carving on there. And then your alignment holes, of course, you move the board out of the way, you drill your alignment holes for your waste board. That board gets flipped over and pressed on those pins, put your dowel pins in, and now it's all the model carve, the pocket cut, for the screw countersink for the head, and then the through hole that goes through.
Yeah, I think on the back side, on one side of the grips, there would be, in addition to the pockets for the screw and the recess, there is for the thumb safety, there's just a small amount, not right there, it's at the top of the grip on the back side. There's a small bit of machining that takes place right there. Yeah.
Here?
Yeah. That's why I was wondering if when I was importing the model originally, I was kind of setting that horizontal line to be right there at that 0.00, that 0.088. I was kind of bringing the model up so that it would allow me to machine that part, but wasn't sure if that was proper or not.
Well, it's just an overcut distance. So when you're importing the model in, you check that box off to create both sides.
Okay.
The overcut distance is basically like if I said, okay, this is the bottom of my material and the bottom of my model right here. I need the bit, and let's call this also the zero plane, right? Let's imagine that when I'm looking at this in the software, let's imagine I'm looking in the 3D view, this plane right here, my zero plane, everything on the bottom side of it, which let's call that the side 1, I wouldn't be able to get to. The router, the tool pass would not let me model past this plane right here. But if I add in that overcut distance, then that permits the bit to go past this plane so it can cut, through to that other side. And what we would need to know is just from the bottom of the grip to the kind of the deepest point of that relief, if you will, what that is, because we have to add that to the overcut distance so it'll allow it to carve.
Gotcha.
Because it will and in all reality, yeah, I mean, that's the only part of the 3D that you would be carving on the back side of this model. The rest of this is not a 3D. There's not a single 3D carve in any of this except for this little bit right here.
Gotcha.
And
that undercut would be like 0.137. Okay. And I would set that up when I'm importing.
yeah, so you would at that point you would need to have this side 2 model. What am I on the bottom side here? Give me just a moment. So you would have to give me just a second here. Okay. All right. So from here, I'm gonna get my tools back. From here, there's a straight line that goes up to this point here, right there. And that vector creates that creates the vector for that relief right there. And the give me just a moment. Okay, let me flip this over here. Okay. So my top side in this example is, you flip it to where it's flipped. All right. Top side's top side. Flip over to the bottom side. Okay. And when I'm looking at this, that matches up. Okay. Now, this area right here is a relief that it's hard to see me behind my name tag here and all, but it's a relief that from the flat, it's angled kind of down and away from the flat bottom of the pistol grip. This is down and out. It's an angle down and out. And you're saying, so it's because of the angle. I don't know exactly what the angle is. It's kind of a chamfered cut. And I could literally I could literally. No, it's still all. I have to have an overcut distance because that's still side one. This chamfer goes into the side one. It's the back side of side one. It has nothing to do with side two. So the software won't let me carve that model toolpath if I don't have the overcut distance. So it's got to be done, I mean, at import. So let's add a new layer, turn off everything else. Import that left side grip because it is the left side grip that has that. Okay. When you see this,
Laney,
yeah.
Could you import, because I know we're going to be running out of time, but could you import the left side on the new file? Just so I can show you, you'll see that same relief right there, but you'll also notice now that we cut out that, that corner cove, you'll see the replacement with the small recess for that spring, for that mainspring on the left side, on the new one. So you'll see that same relief there, and then down in that bottom left corner, it's really minute, but there should be. They don't have it on there. I've got to add it. I don't see it on there. Oh, that's interesting. But there is a small little recess, and it's a very small recess.
What's it for?
For the mainspring that goes down the backside of the. Yeah, it's like 0.025. They cover that
along the. Does it go along the whole back side?
No, it's just in that bottom corner, and it's only like what did I just have it set to? It's.
I mean, is that something that you take a file and?
No, it's just it's like 0.026 deep, and the diameter is like 0.139. It's very small, but there's like a pin that goes through the bottom of the gun there that holds that mainspring that attaches to the trigger.
Yeah. I mean, is it something that can be tooled like away? Is it just a material that has to get removed?
Yeah, it's almost like the recessed holes for the screws there, right? It's just a small recessed pocket that's in that very bottom.
Yeah, I'd have to.
And I don't know why they don't have it on there. But now that I'm learning what I am here, it would be easy. It looks like that. It's just an independent vector.
Right, because
but that's just to show you, what you've created right now is very similar to what how at least needs to look moving forward, where you don't have that cutout there, that cove down at the bottom, but still have that piece there up at the very top.
Excuse me. And give me just 1 second here. Okay. So here, all right, let me see if I can turn it on its side. This area right here that gets removed, it doesn't look like a chamfer. It doesn't look like anything. It's like a little pocket cut.
Yeah, that's how I see it.
Like there's a cavity.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do undercuts. So that's not going to happen on the CNC, period. You can cut down and create this, this relief right here, but you're not going to be able, that's cut into the grip. There's a recess in like a cave in here that goes down in. You can't get to it. You're not going to be able to get to there. I don't know. Is that supposed to be there?
Yeah, it should be there.
Come in with
Okay,
a
so-
splitter saw.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be. You would have to do that with oscillating saw to remove that material in all. But there's an undercut in there. You're not getting that with the CNC.
You
Your
could
bit
do it
doesn't
with
come- your-
you could
your
do
bit
it with
doesn't
a
come
slot
straight down.
cutting router bit on a router table.
That would be a little tricky because the way it closes up right here.
I would use a
It's
die
not-
grinder.
Yeah, it's not straight. Exactly, it's not straight across. This has a little bit of a curve up right here, and but that recess is still back
Yeah,
into there.
It's pretty small. I may just take one of my rasp and just kind
Die
of.
grinder, or Dremel tool,
Yeah.
to pocket, relieve that pocket out. But
Or do a slice first and then come down and do the pocket. That way you can get the ridge.
a slice first. What do you mean?
Come in from before we cut the pocket for that. Keep it all solid. Come in with a operation and slice it coming into the middle of it,
Right.
and then come back and carve that pocket out.
Yep.
Mhm.
You could do that, but now this your 1/8 inch ball or 16th inch ball should better come down because this is rounded right here, and then it has that recess undercut into there.
Yeah, I see what you're saying now. That almost looks like, where you take a biscuit joiner or something, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's not actually going into the wood there. That dark space is not there's no pocket right into the wood there. I mean, I don't know why that dark spot is there, which makes
It's
it
not
look like-
when you zoom, it's not a dark spot. It actually goes back in. That's a hole. It's not just a dark spot.
Yeah,
That's
I don't know.
That's
I
a
don't
that's a
know.
hole. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so that's
That there is-
that's not there.
I'm holding the grip in my hand, and there is
Okay.
no undercut.
But there
inside.
is a pocket here with a lip all the way around the outer edge. So there is a pocket here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a 3D cut. I don't know. This is a little small. So like a 30
otherwise to do that operation, you'd need a 4th axis, right? I mean, you'd need something that.
Yeah. Or what the guys were saying, cut your slot. JR had a good, point of doing like a slice using the same thing that John said with the was John, you were the one that said the
Die
was that
grinder.
Charlie. Charlie was the one that said a T-slot bit.
Yeah.
Cutting the slice and then pocket. Okay, so that's not
That's
right.
not
So
fair.
that's not a point.
No.
So just this, and there
Yeah.
is actually a curved pocket here.
That's correct.
So this cut, in order to cut down here and everything, the overcut distance, because this is 0. Whatever the depth of that is, that's what you have to set your overcut distance to. So it allows the router bit to, carve that.
Gotcha.
When you're calculating your 3D finish, and really, you don't need to do anything at the flat, just this area right here. So you would literally just on that dark area right there, you would you could even. I'll just freehand it for right now,
Yeah.
but
I was gonna say, couldn't you just make a vector there and then just do a pocket cut?
not a pocket cut. It's still a 3D cut. Give me just a second here. It's still a 3D cut. So you would just do that, and you would do a 3D finish cut using the selected vector as the boundary. You can, we don't actually even need to let it go over because the vector is bigger already. So 0. When you calculate that in the wood, preview that visible toolpath, it will create that. And then when we do the profile cut, bear with me a second. I got to create my profile. Profile toolpath. We'll cut all the way through. Quarter-inch end mill's fine. On the outside of the line. Oh, hold on a second. My bit was way too big. What did I use for that 3D finish? Hold on just a second. Definitely don't use a 1/4-inch ball nose. We need smallest, the best smallest possible. A 32nd would be good, but I don't have one programmed in, so we'll use a 16th for now, but calculate that again. Let's do that one more time. Reset the preview the visible toolpath. We still have there's still a model on the other side that would be cut right to round it off.
Mhm.
But that's what the software is seeing.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm not seeing that when I look at the 3D view. Let me close this.
That's because you went over on your vector and it cut inside the straight part.
Sure.
You know what I mean? When you overcut it.
Right, but
you have to cut it to the line on the inside because that's going to take all that material out that you don't need taken out. You just need that little end that's there. You made your vector bigger. See where your vector, how big your vector is?
oh man, it should have done the flat work up here. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? I got it. Hold on a second. I see, said the blind man. Let's see. Click here to there. Use my scissors.
There you go.
All right, one more time. All right, let me hold on a second. Let me mute Charlie there for a second. Charlie, I had to mute you for a minute. The texting was, thought somebody was trying to send me Morse code for a minute. Hold on a second. Let's see. I need to calculate. Charlie O'Burl and really enjoyed working with you at the show. He really had a good time. I don't know what you guys did, but Lord of mercy.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh, my vector's still open. Hold on a second. Yeah, he enjoyed the heck out of that. All right. Preview the visible toolpath, and that 1/16 of an inch ball nose is still too big, and my line is still overshooting a little bit. I think the 1/16 is just too big. It's just too small of an area. You know what I mean? 32nd, gonna have to because I'm still hitting, even though my line is up against there. But we're not going to have enough time to dissect that one. I'd have to work with you one-on-one on that.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I don't know if anything that I showed you is going to help you, but hopefully it does.
Yeah, it does. Big time.
And I have no problem, like, you know, in your gold meeting, your monthly gold meeting, your 1 hour, you know, if you want to schedule a one-on-one with me and we actually create your models and, you know, your tool pass and everything, I have no problem doing that. But yeah, we've got to be able to cut that without cutting into our, you know, our other model and everything. So a very small, maybe a 32nd inch with a 64th inch radius to get in there. Otherwise, I don't know.
Get out the PC board bits.
A file. Yeah, PC board bits. Those little boogers. All right, let's close this. Let's reset that to a blank and close it.
Save
Work
it.
with me now. Yep.
Well, it's been super helpful. I really appreciate you putting this on the docket for the class tonight.
Yeah, well, like I said, if you want to schedule your a monthly one-on-one with me, we can you know, actually create your files and all for you to carve, so you can actually carve them.
Yeah, I'll reach out to you.
Yep. Yeah. Do you have there? You should have saved in your web browser. If you don't, email me with a subject line Meet Link, MEET link, and I'll email you the link that you can use to schedule your monthly meeting with me. And you just use it in whatever day of the month, you know, each month you get to schedule 1 hour, you know, one-on-one. All gold members, by the way, if any one of you are listening and everything, all gold members, you get, you know, if you don't have your Meet link, email me, and let me throw my email up on the screen. Let me get everybody up on the screen here for a minute. Laney.Shaughnessy@SpindleTV with the subject line Meet Link, gold members. Meet Link, and I'll send you the link, and you bookmark that page, and that's what you use to schedule your appointments each month. And you can do a phone call or a video call, your choice, you choose. And in this case, Ronnie, it would be a video call.
Okay. Do you have day, week, time preference?
It shows you the calendar. So when you click on the link, it shows you the calendar with all available dates and times. Perfect. You pick a date and time, and I call you at that date and time.
Good. You're too fancy.
Too fancy. Too fancy. All right. Well, we've got this far. I'm going to hit save. Some of this we might be able to use. You never know. But this is how we take a model and import, you know, someone's model. And if there's modifications that need to be made to it, how we can use the vectors with slight adjustments of that model, how we can create vectors on that model, make slight adjustments to clean everything up, recreate the parts, and then start working off those parts and everything. And then, you know, we would go through and make our tool pass and everything. Yeah, so the offsets and all of the things that we all the vectors and everything that we used, except for that one. Let's get rid of that one. There we go. But all the vectors that we use, the 2-rail sweeps, the, you know, and everything, the circles that we recreated to create the offsets, all nice and clean. And that's our pocket tool pass for our drilling, you know, cut through and drilling, countersinks. And yeah, it's not really a finished project, you know, as of right now, but it's in the works, right? So unfortunately, we just ran out of time. But hopefully some of the stuff we covered made some kind of sense. Let's see here. Somebody said something. Real cool class, Lenny. Good. Well, thank you. Learning something new all the time. Well, that's good. That's good. Because, man, I'm telling you, Roger, if I disappointed you on your birthday because you didn't learn nothing in class, that would just be devastating to me. I wouldn't be able to sleep. Hey, brother. No, really, thanks for hanging out on your birthday with me. Now, you still got 2 hours or an hour and 45 minutes to cut loose, right? So, because we're going to say goodbye now. So you got an hour and 45 minutes to tie one on for your birthday. Whatever situation, but I appreciate you hanging out, and hopefully everybody in the chat gave you a happy birthday. But for sure, this is going to as soon as I get full size, because I feel like a munchkin down here in this corner. Nothing wrong with being a munchkin now. I'm gonna get so many comments and hate mail. Little people. Okay. But I felt small. All right. If y'all have any questions or anything, now's the time, because we're going to say goodbye. But I really appreciate you all for hanging out with me, and any of the new members. We had some new members join. And so hopefully some of the new members did make it to the live event. Let me see real quick. Let me scroll up to the chat real fast. I don't see him or her, but that's okay. Well, I just if you're on Facebook, let me just say this, okay? We have a private group. All members have access to a private group, an exclusive group on Facebook. You can't search for anything. It's hidden from the world. Only us know about it, and there's a secret handshake to get into it. But what you got to do is you've got to, on Facebook, you've got to send me a friend request. If you have a Facebook account, a friend request. And in the chat, or not in the chat, sorry, on the screen, I'm going to post my Facebook URL. It is facebook.com/. It's not, let me actually do the full thing. www. Okay. Now, nobody talk, because I won't be able to hear you. Hold on one second. No, you can talk amongst yourself. Hold on a second. This is very important. My earpiece battery just died. Hold on a second. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. I lost my earpiece. But send me a friend request on Facebook. Everybody that has Facebook, send me a friend request if you've not joined the group, the exclusive Spindle TV exclusive group. And I'll send you an invite through that friend request. I'll send you an invite to join the group, to get you in the group. Okay. There's a lot of stuff that, happens behind the scenes, and a lot of it will happen inside that group. And I'd like to see that group get more hyped up and interactive and everything. It's for you guys to use to share and collaborate with one another and all that. And I should be prompting conversations and stuff in there, and I'm a bad host. I haven't prompted a bunch of conversations. You guys have kind of been prompting your own conversations and stuff, but let's get it cranked up. If you got Facebook, join the group. All right, everyone. Well, listen, we're going to call it a night. Y'all have a wonderful evening. Happy birthday once again to Roger Smith. And until next time, we'll see you soon, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Laney.
Thank you.